very easy to be deceived. By the way, going back to that, talking about individualism. Okay, Japanese is collectivism. We try to get together with each other. This is Japanese teamwork. Okay.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we live in the island, so we cannot understand foreigners. This is a problem. Even if we are trying to say we, but we try to avoid the other people.
Yeah, we actually exclude the rest of the world, eh?
Yeah. Non-Japanese.
Right.
This is a problem. But
so individualists are universalists.
Mm.
They believe that basically they're not necessarily part of their own culture. They're not necessarily part of their neighbor country's culture. They're actually not part of anything. They are individuals first. So they are universalists. Whereas actually, like collectivist cultures are actually exclusivists.
But before World War II, Japanese are more universalist. They try to communicate with Asian people.
Since 1870, right? Not before that. It's but only very recently.
What do you mean 1870?
Well, Meiji era.
No, before 1945.
Before 1940, yeah, between 1870 and 1945, there was an active.
Yes, Japanese country.
Before that,
closed.
it was not. Because there are thousands of years that Japan didn't really communicate much with the rest of the world.
No. 1600, many Japanese go outside to Asia. Do you know that?
No.
Many huge ship, they made it, and they trip Southeast Asia. And what's the name of they say Namban? Kimoto, what did you say? Is they went to Malaysia, all Japanese 1600 years. Who are they?
1600 years.
Who are they? This is a very famous people down to southeast.
Chicken number.
Chicken number. Yes, number. Many people, huge ship, they could make it. Okay, and they going down to south. Nagamasa Yamada, do you know him? Nagamasa Yamada. He stays there many years. But basically, Japanese is universalist before 1945. But after World War II, Japanese, they changed a lot. One reason is education. One reason is education.
But sorry. Can I ask a question? Universalist, was that also true?
Always
that Japan that went to war was universalist?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know that with whom they battled?
Why?
No, with whom they battled against World War II? Do you know that?
Well, they battled against many Western countries.
No. America and China. That's all. Not Asian Pacific.
No, I know.
Right?
I know.
So for Asian Pacific people, Japanese military, Japanese people, they want to get together. Always.
I mean that is also a strategic objective. Of
before
course.
World War II, okay,
they can't fight.
19 until around 30s, also Japanese people very well coordinate with mainland Chinese.
But Una-san, I think that's a little bit okay. Let's put this in. Okay, that's the positive perspective. If you look at it from a negative perspective, then we could also say that it was impossible for Japan to win a war if they would be enemies with everyone. You need to have partners. If your main enemy is United States, is Western countries, then you need basically then you need to get some kind of allies. Otherwise, you will definitely lose the war. So you cannot declare war with the entire world. You will definitely lose. That's why one could argue that they were supportive of the other Asian countries, not because they necessarily felt that we are so such a globalized we have such a globalized mindset.
Not supportive. Japanese people always thinking about Asian countries. They believe we, Indonesian, Malay, Filipino, and Chinese before 1930s. They try to doing well, coordinated each other. But unfortunately, mainland China, they started a war since 1930s. They kill each other until 1945 for 15 years. So beforehand, Chinese, also even Japanese, very coordinated with Chinese. They understand Chinese is superior than Japanese. They working very hard, very clever, very smart. Japanese, they did know that.
Well,
But how come they started war? Because of the military, that they want to get misunderstanding the positioning of China. Right? As you know,
It was the first time in history that they were actually
they invaded Manchuria, so they just miscalculated. Right? This happened because of military. But Japanese people, Japanese government, they didn't think like that. But that was unhappy thing for both countries. Right? But Asian countries not like that. Not like just only the Japanese people. They don't feel any superiority. Right? Try to treat equal level. Don't you think so? Japanese always inferiority feeling
I'm a little bit in doubt whether it is.
from European people.
I'm a little bit in doubt whether it was really because they felt that they
Okay, we say
they were equal with their
we
neighbors.
say for Chinese people, we just saying an absurd word for Chinese before World War II. But Japanese is feeling superiority as the same way and inferiority. Now it's possible.
Actually, usually.
No. It's 100 years ago. Now it's the same. It's not the same. Okay, when I had 100 times seminar in China, I take Japanese general managers and more about pushing people to China and give them Chinese speech. They don't like to listen from them because they feel superior to Japanese people. Okay? But they feel always superiority, but the same way. Same time, they feel some aspect inferiority.
It's the flip side of the same medal, I think.
Yeah.
Feeling superior means actually that you have.
Yeah,
it's
this
not
is-
necessary. It's not necessary to prejudice somebody if you feel that you are that you actually are in a strong position. If people feel that they are not in a strong position, that one way to cope with that is developing a superiority principle. Usually, feeling of superiority is not based on actually being superior, but mostly out of fear.
I tell you, British people they dominant in Singapore, and they don't believe Singaporean is not human being, like a dog and cat.
But if we look at the number of British people in Singapore at the time, then there were only very few British people in Southeast Asia, if I remember correctly. Very few. Only a couple of 10,000 people, the British, were in Southeast Asia. So they realized that if they would actually get into a conflict, they would be nowhere. I could easily imagine that actually the British who were in Singapore, who were in Southeast Asia at that time, actually felt terrified.
Terrified what?
Terrified that actually the people would unite against them and would actually overthrow them because they had no way they could defend themselves. They were in a very weak position because there were no British people to actually hold on to power there. So the only way they could deal with this is to kind of manipulate the situation by developing a sense of superiority to actually reinforce their self-image. But deep down inside, they knew that if actually this could very easily go wrong.
They didn't treat Singaporean as
No,
human beings.
because they are afraid of them.